welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jazzy, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks for tuning in for today's video, you guys. For the longest time, I feel like I've struggled with finding the right foundation that suits my skin, and I feel like I've struggled because I really was ignorant and I really didn't know all the factors that went into finding a foundation. I completely thought it was just about going in the store, picking up a foundation, and bam, you looking good. Like, I really thought that. But there's so many things that go into finding the right foundation for you, and those are the things I'm gonna be discussing in this video. I wanna express some of the things I've learned over this past year and a half that I've learned that has helped me find a foundation that has looked really good on myself and just basically helped me understand how all of this stuff really works. So if this is something you're interested in watching, please stay tuned. But before I jump right into the video, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there. It would really warm my heart to have one more subscriber, so make sure you guys do that. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit on that notification bell down there as well, so every time I upload a video, you'll be notified and you won't miss out on any of my content. Alright you guys, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. So before you can even decide what foundation you want, you need to actually understand what kind of skin you have. So you can have either dry skin, combination skin, or oily skin. Now I have dry skin, and the way that I was able to tell that I had dry skin was when I was seeing a lot of dry patches. And basically the best way to explain how a dry patch looks, it just looks like a dry patch. Like, it looks like just like a little small dry patch. It just looks flaky. Or you could be combination skin, which is dry and oily. Most of the times you can tell if you have combination skin if all the skin around here is just normal, you don't really have any problems with your skin around those areas, but right in here you get oily, sometimes right in here, and that's called your T-zone. So if you get oily around your T-zone and nowhere else, you have combination skin. A great way to tell if you have oily skin is if you get a lot of breakouts. Now, the reason you get a lot of breakouts if you have oily skin is because you naturally produce a lot of oil. So when you produce a lot of oil and the oil just sits on top of your face, that clogs up your pores, causing you to have pimples and breakouts. So you want to know what kind of skin you have before you can even find your foundation, because that's going to help you determine how to treat your skin. Because if you don't treat your skin under your foundation, you're gonna be able to tell. It's gonna look not the best it can look. So if you guys haven't checked out any of my skincare routine videos, if you have dry skin, make sure you guys check those out. I mentioned a lot of great products, a lot of products that have actually helped me over this past year and a half, because I really just started getting into makeup. I'm very new to all of this stuff, but over the year and a half that I have been doing makeup, I've learned a lot of things. So I want you guys to go and check that video out if you're struggling with your skincare, if you have dry skin. That brings me to my next point, which is finding your primer. So before you put on foundation, it's a really good idea to apply a primer or a moisturizer. Now, if you have combination or oily skin, you might not necessarily need a moisturizer, but like I told you guys earlier, I have dry skin, so right after I wash my face, cleanse my face, do all that extra stuff I do in my skincare routine, I will definitely put on a moisturizer before I put on my primer. Now, over this past year, I've learned the kinds of primers that I like and the ones that I don't like. So sometimes when you have oily skin, the same primers that you use for your face might not work for someone who has dry skin, and vice versa. So the primers that I'm going to be showing you guys are dedicated towards people who have dry skin. That's just because I have dry skin. But there are really good primers out there for people who have combination skin as well as oily skin. Now, the primers I'm going to be showing you guys today, they range from price. I have some that are really expensive all the way down to really affordable, and then I have one in between. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys those. So the one that I have that's really affordable, it's actually a drugstore product. This is the NYX Shine Killer, and it looks something like this. I picked this up from the drugstore for under $10, and all the primers I'm showing you guys in today's video, they're all silicone based, and I like silicone based primers because I feel like they really hydrate my skin as well as give my skin a nice smooth base to apply my foundation on top of, because sometimes when I have dry flakes and my skin is really feeling tight, I don't need a primer that's gonna mattify my face and make me feel even tighter. So a silicone primer just really makes my skin feel moisturized and hydrated in a way. The next primer I want to show you guys is actually in between price, and this is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and this is the travel size. I think this one retails for $17 and the regular size one retails for $32, and this one again is a silicone based primer. And the last primer that I want to show you guys is my absolute favorite primer, and I like this primer a lot because I've noticed out of all three of these primers that I'm mentioning to you guys, guys, this primer performs the best. Even though it is the most expensive primer like ever, in my opinion, this is the YSL To Eclat Blur Primer. And as you guys can see, it's almost like 1/4 of the way gone, and this primer was actually $50. I had no coupons, I had no discounts. I bought it from Sephora, but this primer right here, you guys, is my absolute holy grail. This is my favorite, and I've only had it for maybe about 6 or 7 months, and I cannot imagine doing my makeup routine without this primer. So I wanted to show you guys that. Now, after you move on to your primer, you find a good primer that suits you and your skin type plus your budget, you want to move on to the tools that you're actually going to be using to apply your foundation. Now, you might not have the foundation, or you might not know what foundation you're going to use, but having a really good tool will really make or break the application process and the overall finish of your foundation. So I have a few brushes and a few tools to show you guys on how you can apply your foundation, and I'm gonna start off with the ones that I use the most all the way down to the ones I use the least. All the brushes I show you guys today are from Sigma brushes. The first brush I want to show you guys is the one that I use the most. You guys have seen me use this on my channel numerous times. This is the Sigma Flat Top Kabuki F80 brush, and what I really like about this brush is how dense it is. It really gives me a smooth application, but it doesn't leave my foundation streaky. I love this brush. I use this pretty much all the time when I'm applying my foundation. The second brush that I use is the Sigma Foundation F60 brush, and this is what this brush looks like. It's more like a paint brush, and I really like this brush when I'm mixing foundations. If I have a foundation that's too light mixed in with one that's too dark, this brush really helps me get those colors mixed in together, just mix them really well. The next brush I want to mention to you guys is a small dual fiber F55 brush. Now, I personally don't really like dual fiber brushes, but I keep them in my collection, one, because I bought the whole kit, and two, because you never know, sometimes your brushes might be dirty. I don't like these brushes just because sometimes I feel when I apply my foundation, they kind of do leave like a streaky application, but I do have this one, and then I have the dual fiber F50. It's just a bigger version of this brush. They're very dense, but at the top, they're not really dense, and so you guys will see in a second if I demonstrate how to apply foundation. You guys will see what I'm talking about when I mention I don't like how streaky these brushes are. And the last tool that I have to mention to you guys is actually not a brush. This is the Rihanna Fenty Beauty Sponge, and I would show you guys my beauty blender because I know a lot of people do apply their foundation with the beauty blender, but me personally, I would prefer the Rihanna sponge over the beauty blender, and it's a little cheaper. It's more affordable. I believe this retails for $16 and the beauty blenders are $20. So this one is a lot more affordable, and it's a lot more softer than the beauty blender, and I feel like with this having multiple angles, multiple sides, multiple shapes, it really does help you get in all those like nooks and crannies with your foundation, especially like around here. So I really like this one over the beauty blender if I had to choose to apply my foundations. Now that I've showed you guys the primers that I use, the tools that I use, it's now time to talk about the foundations. So when you're looking for a foundation, you're gonna need to keep in mind what kind of skin you have, because that's gonna help determine what foundation you choose. So some foundations, they have a dewy finish, they have a matte finish, satin-like finish. All those finishes, they're very important when you're thinking about the type of skin that you have. So because I know I have dry skin, I don't necessarily like to put a mattifying or a dry foundation on top of my face, because it'll just be like very, very dry, and I'll crack and I'll just feel really tight. So I typically like to stay towards the foundations that say dewy, that are more like lightweight, buildable coverage, because sometimes you can't really find a full coverage foundation that isn't mattifying. It's like only a few out there on the market. So I did want to mention that to you guys. Another thing that goes into picking a foundation is your undertones, and no one actually told me this when I was looking for foundations, you guys. I was just going in Sephora, just looking for the best of the best, and I was just looking for what my favorite beauty gurus were telling me to buy. I wasn't really understanding why they were using what they were using. So I want to tell you guys how to understand your undertones. So you can either have warm undertones or cool undertones, or you can be neutral. So I am actually neutral, and what that means is when you look at your veins, you guys are not going to be able to see this on camera, but when you look at your veins in your arms, or sometimes even like on your chest, If they're green, then that means you're more warm. If you have green blue bangs, that means you're more neutral. And if you have purple blue bangs, that means that you're more cool undertones. So all of these things have something to do with what's actually gonna look best on you when choosing your foundation. So a lot of the times you guys will see me and I look really bronze, I look like really tan, and that's because I'm able to choose how much of the golden undertones I want as well as how much of the cool undertones I want, because I'm very neutral, so I can go either way and it'll look really good on me. So sometimes if you have more melanin in your skin, you're gonna be more on the golder side. If you're more fair, you're gonna be more of the cool tones. So that's something to always keep in mind when you're choosing your foundation. I picked out a few of the foundations that I have for my collections. I picked out a foundation that's really bad for me. I picked out one that's kind of good, and then I picked out the ones that I use on an everyday basis. Now I'm actually gonna show you guys what these foundations look like on my face, but before I do, I am gonna go ahead and prime my face with the YSL primer, just so that way I can give all these foundations a fair shot so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna take maybe about 1 or 2 pumps, not just that much. You really don't need a lot with silicone based primers because they spread out really good. Oh yeah, by the way, you guys like my bonnet? Yes, bonnet is by Adore Your Curls. It's a subscription box. I'll have all the information down in the description box if you guys are interested. I mentioned this in my monthly favorites video. I'm not too sure which month, but I also have that video down below if you guys want to check that out. So these are the foundations I'm going to be showing you guys today. I have the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer, and that one as well. And then I have the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydration. And then I have the BB Cream Broad Spectrum F20 Sunscreen. And I want to show you guys what these all look like. So to apply them, I'm actually going to be using this brush. This is the Sigma Foundation F60 brush. And I'm going to start off with the one that looks the worst on me so you guys can see what actually looks good on me, okay? So this one right here, I picked this up, this e.l.f. BB cream up when I was just getting into makeup, and what I would do is I would actually just like put them up to me to see if they would match. And from the bottle, it looks like it would match. This is in the shade Nude. So I'm just gonna show you guys how much it doesn't match. I'm gonna put it on my hand so you guys can see. You guys see that? And I'm gonna actually spread it out so you guys can really see that is not my shade. But I'm still gonna apply this on my face. Bruh. That has no type of black girl magic in it, okay? So that's not working for me. So now I'm gonna move on to the next foundation that I thought would be my foundation, but is actually not. This is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. This is in the shade 21 Cream Caramel. So pretty much, you guys, I've noticed over this past year with me dabbling into makeup, anything that says caramel or like nude, that's pretty much like my shade. So I thought this was gonna work for me in the wintertime, but I still don't think this is my shade. You guys see that? It's right there. Now I'm gonna go in with the Clinique Beyond Perfecting 23 Ginger, and this shade is actually too warm for me. I'm gonna show you guys this. You guys see that? It's really, really warm. Compared to this one, which is really cool, this is really warm. Now the last foundation, this one is the closest one to my complexion, but I feel like it's just a little too light, like just a little bit too light. So I'm gonna show you guys this one, and I'm actually gonna use the other side of this brush, and I'm gonna lay this one right here. Where is it? Right there. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. So out of the foundations I showed you guys, it was very clear to see which ones actually were for me and which ones weren't for me. So the BB cream, even though it looks like this is my skin tone, it's not. So this doesn't work for me. The Smashbox, this is a little too light for me, And it's a light enough shade that it's workable. I can definitely work with this shade. So I'm gonna show you guys how I apply this foundation, because this one and the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Ginger, these are the foundations that I mix to come up with my perfect shade. The Smashbox, I am the shade 3.35. So this foundation is 15-hour wear hydrating foundation. The same thing with my hair, you guys. I'm always looking for key terms that is like hydrating, moisturizing, dewy. Those are the type of words that I tend to go for because I know I have dry skin. So this foundation, the Ginger one, it is actually too dark for me and it pulls more of an orange tone. And I feel like a lot of the times companies, they struggle a little bit finding undertones that actually do suit darker women or women with deeper complexions. They sometimes mess up with putting too much red in them, and I feel like that's what happened with this one. So I actually do need to mix this one together to make them balance out. And as you guys probably seen, both of these are more on the warm tone, but this one is more cooler than this one. This one is definitely more warm tone, and this one is actually cool tone altogether. This foundation is cool toned. So to apply my foundation, I typically like to take this one straight out of the bottle and apply it on my face. And as you guys can see, it looks darker than my skin tone. You can definitely see where I'm putting this at. It's not too dark, but you can definitely still see. And with this foundation, because I don't necessarily need a lot of it and I don't need a lot of this one, I just need a little bit of both. So I just apply one pump to my flat top kabuki and then I go ahead and buff it in. And when you're applying your foundation, what I really like about this brush specifically is when I'm buffing it in, it just, oh my gosh, it's airbrushed. And that's why I wanted to show you guys the tools that I use, because I feel like having really good tools when doing your makeup really does help that end finish look really flawless. So when I wasn't using Sigma brushes, because I have not always been a Sigma brush user, when I was using more affordable brushes from like Target, AliExpress, things like that, I just noticed my makeup wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to. If you're in that position, you guys, it's not you, okay? It's the tools you're using. Because for the longest time, I thought it was me. I thought I couldn't do makeup. I thought I couldn't apply my foundation right. I was just having the hardest time understanding makeup. And then when I got better brushes, it just seemed like everything changed. Another reason why I use this brush on a daily, you guys, is because this brush really does allow you to do like this and get in between your brows, because I do my eyebrows first. Obviously they're not done on camera because I'm just showing you guys how, you know, this is really just like a foundation video. But when I have my brows done, you know, it's really easy to work around them with this brush, and that's what I really like about it. And you guys, these brushes, all Sigma brushes, they're really soft. Like, they don't shed, and they're really soft to the touch. They just really make the application process a lot easier. So as you guys can see, the foundation looks flawless, and this is, believe it or not, this is medium coverage, because I can still see some darkness or discoloration around my lips, as well as some bags underneath my eyes. But just for the purposes of this video, I'm not gonna go ahead and do all out like I normally would, because when I wear my makeup, you guys, I am full face beat, honey, okay? So for the purposes of this video, I'm just showing you guys how quickly you can apply your foundation when you're using the right tools and how things look. I was supposed to show you guys how it looks when I do it with this brush too, huh? Just know it's not like my favorite tool, okay? This is my favorite tool. These two are the most common tools I use to do my makeup. So, yeah. So I hope you guys can understand a little bit better on foundations, the tools that you use, and the primers, as well as the importance of taking care of your skin, learning more about what type of skin you have, because all of these things are really important factors when it comes to how your foundation is gonna look when you apply it, as well as your whole end result when you're done with your makeup. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.